Get ready for some brooding and bad attitudes.
Well, I may be super,
but I am no hero.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Troped, the series where we deconstruct the cliches, archetypes, and story devices that won't go away. In this episode, we're taking a look at antiheroes, protagonists who lack many of the common characteristics associated with heroism. Some of the key characteristics of traditional heroes are bravery, mercy, selflessness, intellect, and strength. Antiheroes tend to have some, but not all, of these features. They might be brave but not selfless, or strong but not merciful. They do heroic stuff because said heroic stuff is in keeping with their own interests or self-preservation, and not because it's the right thing to do or because they feel a sense of great responsibility as a result of their great power.
Hear me out! I don't care about the people of Earth, but I promise I will destroy Cell!
While antiheroes are more popular and common now than they've ever been, this archetype comes from a long tradition stretching as far back as ancient Greece. From Odysseus in the Odyssey to Don Quixote to Hamlet and Macbeth, there's always been an appreciation for heroes whose flaws prevent them from fitting the traditional mold. Odysseus struggles and makes mistakes where classical heroes would have triumphed. He's not the best fighter, he's arrogant, and he's really, really bad at keeping his men alive.
No!
The anti-heroes of old were all about defeating the obstacles within themselves in spite of their flawed nature. The history of cinema is filled with compelling and dramatically different kinds of anti-heroes, from the film noir detectives of the 40s and 50s to Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name from Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, who stands as the prototypical spaghetti western anti-hero.
I want you to stand up there and put your head in that noose.
Because of the rise of nerd culture and its collision with the mainstream, a lot of people's mental image of an anti-hero today probably comes from comic book characters. The Punisher is an example that recently re-entered the public consciousness in a big way with the release of Season 2 of Netflix's Daredevil. This interpretation of the character cleverly deconstructs and challenges the notion of the anti-hero, as John Bernthal's Frank Castle presents both a physical and moral obstacle for the devil of Hell's Kitchen.
You know what I think you, hero? I think you're a half measure. I think you're a man who can't finish the job.
And then there's Deadpool.
oh, hello.
The merc with the mouth is as fast-talking and witty as he is sadistic and cruel. Luckily, his victims tend to be pretty bad people. What distinguishes Deadpool in this tradition is the pure joy and glee with which he disposes of the bad guys.
So the first kind of anti-hero is actually the opposite of the ideal hero. They're not as confident, they may be a bit more self-doubting, emotional, selfish, a little bit dumb, violent, or even cowardly. To me, Spider-Man comes to mind because, not like your ideal hero, Spider-Man has doubts, Spider-Man has flaws. And of course, why we love him so much is that he tries to overcome these flaws, always trying to balance in between his superhero life and his normal life. He is still a hero, but not what you expect with, let's say, your ideal superheroes like Superman's often represented, which is good because Spider-Man is more grounded than that. Because anti-heroes aren't always the good guys who break your bones or curse. Sometimes they're just deeply flawed people who are trying to be better. Then you have your pragmatic anti-heroes. These are the people who do the dirty jobs that need to get done. These are the people who will resort to extremes. There's a lot of collateral damage. This is again against your, let's say, your ideal version of someone like Superman, who will kind of try to talk his way out or trying to find a way to come to a peaceful resolve. These people, they're snapping your neck if it comes to it. Think of your Black Widows or your Nick Fury, even Wonder Woman as someone who tries to be a harbinger of peace, will snap a neck or two if need be. She's still a warrior and will kill if it comes to having to save the world. Then you have your unscrupulous anti-heroes. These heroes are slightly better than actual villains, mostly because they either have a dark and troubled past, or the world and environment in which they live in is even darker and more malign than they are. We often sympathize and root for them because they're fighting people who are actual evil. This is your Punishers, your Hit Girl, even Rorschach. They have brutal methods and they have a twisted view of the world, but sometimes you can't really blame them. These are people who are saving the world, which is good, but the reasons behind it, probably not. They might have selfish motivations, or might be forced to, or sometimes it's just a good old revenge. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and the enemy happens to be the villain. You have your nominal hero. You have people like John Wick, who's a nominal hero. He's an assassin just killing massive amounts of people. In any other person's movie, John Wick would be the bad guy, the boogeyman. What makes him endearing to us is because of the reason, the revenge, or he's being threatened. You have the Suicide Squad, which are actual literal villains who save the world because they have a bomb implanted inside their head. They're literally forced to do it. Or you even have Loki, who constantly every once in a while saves the world. Let's say for instance in Thor: The Dark World, where he helped his brother Thor ultimately win the day, but mostly it was out of revenge for his dead mother. Loki is usually in it for himself, and if he's ever on the side of the good guys, it's because he has something in it. That's what makes him a nominal hero. So you have the classical anti-hero who just doesn't have the known traits of an ideal hero. You have the pragmatic hero who will do the dirty jobs when they need to be done no matter what it is. You have the unscrupulous hero who is slightly better than villains and doesn't really have the moral fiber of a regular hero. And you have the nominal hero who usually is forced or has an ulterior motive in being a hero.
Number 7, Black Cat.
No man tells me what to do. Spider-Man doesn't want me around. Fine. If he can be a loner, so can the Black Cat.
You know what heroes don't generally do? Steal. Black Cat might have a villain's profession, but whenever the stakes become larger than a question of personal property, she's always on the right side of the conflict. Over the years, the woman behind the Diamond Mask, Felicia Hardy, has repeatedly put her pilfering ways aside in order to help the web-slinger, either to bring down a villain that threatens the lives of innocents or to help Spidey out of a jam. Despite her life of crime, she has consistently been portrayed as one of Spider-Man's most reliable allies. She lives life by her own ethical code, and you've gotta love her for it. Number 5, Elektra.
So now you tell me.
You can handle me.
Do I need to push you this time?
Sometimes she's a hero, working alongside Daredevil towards noble ends. Other times, she's acting as an assassin. Suffice to say, she's complicated, but Daredevil can't help but love her. And comic book readers are right there with them. With her complex history, deadly psi and martial arts skills that can rival the Daredevil's own, Elektra Natchios isn't just some love interest. She's one of the most beloved anti-heroines in the industry. After the character's creator, Frank Miller, killed her off in the early 80s, he wanted her to stay out of publication, but she proved too compelling a character to leave on the sideline, and she went on to star in various titles. Number 2, The Punisher.
I don't know anything.
Fair enough.
The Punisher is the man that the Marvel Universe needs, but doesn't want to know about. At least, that's what he seems to think. After losing his family to a mob hit after a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Frank Castle put his expert military training to brutal use by making himself a one-man army and waging war on crime. According to his editor, Stephen Wacker, Castle has 48,502 kills to his name, and counting. Rapists, pedophiles, drug lords, mobsters, and murderers beware. No violent criminal is safe from the Punisher. Heroes might not be able to handle his brand of justice, but readers sure eat it up. Number 1, Wolverine.
Guys, seriously, you don't want to do this.
He's the best there is at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice. This mutant Canuck comes equipped with 6 razor-sharp claws, a skeleton coated in adamantium, and an accelerated healing factor. Not really a toolkit for saving kittens from trees or helping little old ladies to cross the street. Wolverine might have a rough exterior, but he's really got a heart of gold and a moral compass that always reads true. The thing is, he has zero qualms about shedding blood or taking the lives of those who stand between him and his objective. When Logan's in town, you either get on the right side of an issue or face the claws.